Everything that I say in this video is purely my opinion, so if you agree or disagree, feel free to comment. I like seeing different opinions. I have seen a lot of school anime in my lifetime, and I don't think most of them come close to being as good as Gakuen Alice. Most superpower school anime struggle with the characterization of many characters. There's two reasons why. When the writers make templates for these characters, they get attached to their characters, and when tasked with writing them into the story, they fail to convey the character's personality properly because they've already done it in their heads. The second thing is dividing attention between the large cast. Depending on the type of story you want to tell, how you divide the attention is important. In romance anime, the focus is split between two main characters and about 4 side characters. In shonen, the focus is given to so many characters. In One Piece, characters get developed, then they leave the story, so dealing with those characters is pretty simple. In My Hero Academia, for example, since most of the characters dwell in a school and they can't leave, the writer has to constantly think of new ways to make those characters fun. What failed My Hero Academia, however, is the addition of other schools. How were you going to add new characters when you hadn't finished developing the characters you had first? Gakuen Alice was sort of in a hard place. The writer couldn't make the characters leave the story after their arcs like in One Piece, so that was a problem. And just like in My Hero Academia, the characters are in a school. How is Gakuen Alice going to deal with these problems? One of the ways it dealt with these problems was restricting access from the outside world entirely, creating a secret society. By doing this, the writer limits the characters from entering the story and focuses on the characters that the story has. Because Gakuen Alice has a lot of characters, students of different divisions, elementary, high school, middle school, wear different uniforms that allow the viewer to tell them apart. It's very important to be able to distinguish between characters since Mikan is going to spend about 6 years in the school, and we sort of need to be able to tell divisions apart. Giving characters one-dimensional personalities, then slowly building on them as the story progressed was neat. This way, the writer can flesh out as many characters as she wants because they have some basic traits that viewers can remember them by. Many of the characters are introduced in this way. They seem pretty basic, but each time we meet them, we learn something new about them, and the characters become so complex without me even noticing. This kept the story fresh, and anime examples would be Hotaru, Permi, Natsume, Ruka, and since the anime wasn't adapted fully, most anime onlys won't know about, the other characters. I won't spoil it. When new characters get added into the story, they are anchored to pre-existing characters that were already in the story, and if they aren't anchored, they come into the story with some sort of new information. So their introductions give me something new. Tsubasa is introduced in episode 6, and I found out about new information about the 4 Alice types. In episode 7, Hijiri Yoichi is introduced into the story, anchored to Natsume, plus I found out about Central Town and Dangerous Alice ability types. Hotaru's brother is introduced in episode 17 and gave me more information about how kids grow up without their parents and how cruel the academy could be. It's a great way to have characters always involved in the story somehow.
残念ながらまだ幹部として仕事が残っている。もう話している時間もない。とにかく妹がアリスだったことは僕にとって喜ばしいことに変わりはない。今後何か困ったことがあったらいつでも相談に来るといい。助力は惜しまない。じゃ。
機械的なセリフ、事務的な態度、冷たい目。
Gakuen Alice could have focused on the gritty idea of children being trapped and manipulated by adults, like in Promised Neverland, but it didn't. It goes for a more realistic approach. It's a story about a child trying to live life to the fullest in a school. But because the school is a secret society and it's governed by its own rules, that aspect sort of elevates the boring school setting and makes the slice of life episodic adventures more fun. The most important rules in the story are: Number 1. Students are allowed very little contact with the outside world once they are found out to be Alice users. This helps contain the secrecy. Number 2. Students are ranked using a star system that ranks them on their grades and behaviors, because their Alices are something that they cannot control. There are 4 levels. Students with a principal star are the best students and are also very rare. Then come the 3-star students, followed by 2-star students, 1-star students, and then lastly, no-star students. The star ranking system also determines how you're treated, how much allowance you get, how much work you have to do, the room you get, the food you eat. How hard you work correlates with the rewards you get, making Alice Academy function like the real world, but instead of dealing with the whole world, the writer gets to deal with only a small portion of it. Rule number 3. There are about 4 Alice types. The latent type, Alices that are common and are easier to deal with. Then we have the technical type Alices that reveal themselves through hard work, and examples are paintings that come to life or sewing a bear that comes to life. The somatic type is related to using your body, pheromones, or manipulating your body in some way. And then there's the special class, a class of people whose abilities don't fit into the other categories and they are considered weird. There is a secret category though, the Dangerous Alice ability class. So far, Yoichi, who commands evil spirits, Natsume, a fire user, and Persona, a man who kills what he touches, have been shown. By categorizing students' powers, there is some sort of order, and thank God. Number 4. Elementary students and middle school students of different types have joined classes once a week. This helps the younger students learn from their seniors. Mikan is in the special class, so she joins the special class with the special class middle school students. Number 5. The person who scores the highest on their test is allowed to go home and visit their family. Otherwise, they are allowed to send letters to their families and get letters back. Number 6. Students are allowed to buy resources and necessities at Central Town with the money they get from their star allowance. Number 7. They have a lot of festivals. Yeah, I think that's it for the rules. These rules give Gakuen Alice an edge because we get so many fun interactions out of the characters with the rules. Like Mikan trying to enjoy life to the fullest, being a North Star, or her trying to earn money. And the festivals they have most of the time because they are a rich school. Since it's mainly a slice of life story that focuses on their life at school, the students don't really have a goal. They do want to go back home, but only one person can go back home, so they gave up trying. The rules allow them to aim for something like getting a 3-star rank, so they get a better room or allowance. What I think most people don't give this show credit for is how it allows itself to handle 5 genres at once and doing all 5 genres justice. Gakuen Alice at most is a school about Mikan trying to make the best of her situation, mixed in with comedy, romance, slice of life, and school. And of course there is tragedy, but these genres are all done realistically and not in an over-the-top way. Comedy is subjective, and what makes me laugh might not make you laugh, so I can't say much about that.
うるさいわねこの耳栓。俺の一体どこが武器よ。こんなもんが魔人の弱点になるわけないじゃないの。じゃーん。今の何？じゃーん。なんか言おう。
さて、ここで問題です。ここを通りたくば今から3分間一切口を聞いてはいけない。笑い声もダメ。
はいはい。
芋が落っこちたよ、ポテット。モノマネしてんのがモノマネしてんの？トイレに行っといれ。トイレまでちょっと遠いんで。道が狭くてトイレんな。
そういえば聞いたことがあるわ。特力につまらないダジャレなのになぜか必ず聞く人を笑かすというアリス史上一二を争うほどしょうもない、ある意味伝説のアリスの持ち主がいるって。そうだ、うるさい耳栓で。なんでこんな時に健やかに寝てんのよあんた。
台湾料理が食べたいわん。
嘘。
本当だ。なんで？
ほんまや。夏目が来とる。へそ出しだ。なになに？みんなでうちんとこ遊びに来てくれた？あんたんとこに来たわけじゃないわよ。ね、夏目くん。
なんだその格好。
似合うやろ。
どこが胸だよ。もっといらじゃん。
何サボってんだ。
うちもお嫁に行け。
なんかあったわけね。何？うちの RPG 試しに来てくれたのか？なんだこいつ。行くぞルカ。なんだ今の。やれやれ、そういうことね。
The romance aspect is subtle in the beginning, and it does become more as Mikan grows older, and it doesn't overshadow everything else. The slice of life aspect is very mellow and chill, just students enjoying life, having episodic misadventures that do affect the overall story and the character arcs, but I'm always kept guessing. The tragic aspect is the most depressing, actually. Children have to grow up without the love of their parents. It's not really over dramatic except in Natsumi's case, but that's because he's a child who was forced to deal with the fact that he killed lots of people with his Alice. Most of the children are homesick, and before Mikan arrives they're in sort of a despair. Mikan herself does experience homesickness, but she tries her hardest to be optimistic. Most of the children have been raised by the academy and have sort of lost their sense of wonder. Mikan was raised as a normal child, so it's natural for her to be extremely optimistic, and together they sort of help each other. Mikan learns not to be too trusting of others, whereas the other students adopt her optimism. It's really sad that this show didn't get the greatest adaptation, nor a complete one. Don't get me wrong, I love the voice acting. I think most of the characters had a voice that fit well with their character. And
変な子かわいいのにねバカ
ブサイク
ブタク
夜なサルドも
ベルナサルラもなかなかいいコンビね
I love the music. I think it fits well with the classical look that the Academy was going for, and I can watch bad animation as long as it's in color. And yeah, I cannot handle bad CGI, so it just needs to be in color basically. I just think when My Hero Academia and literally any other school, superpower anime, and romance anime get good adaptations, Gakuen Alice didn't get that. It deserves a readaptation with the complete source material, but the manga is still great, so you can go check that out. It's an 8.5 anime looking at it objectively, but it's a 10 out of 10 for my personal enjoyment, and I recommend you check it out. And the manga starts from chapter 29 if you're interested in checking it out, you know, after you're done with the anime. Peace out.